people think that these victories have been won. They are never really won. You have to keep asserting a demand for human social equality. You must keep emphasizing, you must keep fighting. But man does not live through politics alone. These two men, I didn't really know what to say, so I didn't write anything down. I wrote my first speech down because there's a couple of things I want to see happen in the United States on the far left. But these two men are very, very special. I hope one day a larger public knows how special they are. I've seen Norman perform, I think, 3 times. Once at Yale when I introduced him in 2009. And I think a couple of more times at the St. Mark's Church. And it sounded to me like he was word perfect. When I give my speeches at conferences and various events, I have to write them down. I still don't understand how actors remember what they have to remember. It's amazing to me. And Norman does a one-man show. It's flabbergasting. And there have been so many wonderful moments with Norman Marshall. He's had such a great life and such a great career, and it's been such a career focused on black history and on the struggle for justice. And my experiences with him when we went to Hudson, Ohio, went to Crawford County, Pennsylvania, it's been incredible. It is a great, great honor and pleasure to present the silver medal of the John Brown Society to Norman Thomas Marshall.
Give me a moment to just take this in. I didn't expect this. I didn't expect that I would feel so strongly. I don't think I've ever had a prouder moment in my life than I feel right at this moment. See all these faces of these people that I love so deeply who came to notice me. Oh. Buck up, boy. It's a long way to go. Get over yourself. Thank you, Larry. Thank you so much. Thank you, Lou. Thank you, these two colleagues, these two friends, these two brothers. It has been I guess it's been 23 years since I first started on this, and one of the great disappointments of this day is that George Wolf Riley could not be here. George has been terribly ill the last few years, and he wanted to. I talked to him yesterday. He thought he would make it, but when you're ill, things happen. As George and I started on this, and I get the award. You know, I understand that. I'm the face of this project, this play, John Brown, Trumpet of Freedom. You know, I'm the face of it. But George Riley is the heart and soul. It was his idea to do it in the first place. he and I wrote it together, and he was the lead writer. He directed it brilliantly. And so I am so deeply sorry that he's not here to share this moment with me. But I thank everybody. I thank you all for coming. And I think we have to notice that here we are at this gathering celebrating John Brown. That in 2017, I think that's remarkable. We are here celebrating John Brown. We're talking about John Brown, yes. And I mean, 20 years ago, this would not have happened. Unless it was to light torches and maybe denounce John Brown as a Muslim sympathizer or some such thing. But those days are over. And I think in the generation to come that we, people in this room and other scholars and artists, have launched a movement to recognize John Brown for the great man that he is. And somebody every now and then will ask me, why are you so passionate about John Brown, about this? What's with John Brown? Well, simply put, if I may put it simply, I think if a world in which John Brown is a hero and a role model is a lot better world for all of us and for my granddaughter to grow up in. It's that simple. A place and a time and a land in which true heroism is recognized and celebrated, true ideals, true brotherhood. That's what we need more of. Well, now I am an actor. I started to say I am but a simple actor, but humility I don't do that well. but I am an actor, and as Noel Coward put it, with talent to amuse, pretty face. And so here in the presence of two such eminent John Brown scholars, I will not try to be a historian. I will not play that part tonight, even though there was a prominent, wonderful historian, James Horton. I was doing a project at Yale with Professor Horton and David Blight, and Professor Horton said, "Oh, you are a historian." I said, "I'm not a historian. I know very, very little history." He said, "But you teach history." Point taken. So people who know me and become aware of my, as Holden Caulfield would have put it, as my lousy childhood. They know that people that know that I came from a southern rural background. I grew up in the 40s and 50s in a Jim Crow South. My father had been a member of the Klan, and people say, "Oh, geez, you're John Brown, and how did you ever escape all that?" Well, I'm not sure that I ever did escape it. I don't think I ever tried to escape it. I'm still what some people would call a professional Southerner. I talk about the music. I love all the hillbilly music. I love the Southern food. I don't like to go to the South that much anymore, but I write. I've been doing I've been writing fiction based on my childhood, in the South, and it's these are bittersweet stories of people, of rather corrupt people, whom I still care a great deal about and want to present them with some integrity, But so. Lost my place.
It's okay.
I think what really happened in my life is that I came from an incredibly poor family. I mean, I was so poor that other poor people felt sorry for me. Blacks felt sorry for me. I mean, felt sorry. We were conspicuously poor. And I think that identification as being looked down upon, being poor white trash, which I've been called that name many, many times, somehow that I shared that status with my black brethren, the other field hands who were working in the field with me. And that spark grew over the years. I mean, I had the opportunity to invoke my status as a white person, kind of go along with the racism, and that was tempting. It was, it's nice to be better than other people. That's a great, but I didn't. And when the 60s arrived and the activism of the 60s, that spark grew into a great roaring inferno. And in the 60s, I was moved to follow along in the path and to continue the work of Robert F. Williams, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King. And I became so vigorous in this pursuit that I got kicked out of college in my senior year for the activism. Now we get into the real stuff here. Now, I got kicked out of college for being an activist, and this case went to the Supreme Court. We lost, but anyway, we did go to the Supreme Court with this case. Now, my lawyer was a man named Howard Hearns Carwile. He was a white man. He was from a very impoverished sharecropper family from Charlotte County, Virginia. And he had put himself through law school during the Great Depression. And in doing so, he often subsisted for large lengths of time by eating such food as hog lard mixed with sugar and smeared on white bread. And this is during the Depression. That was all he had to eat at times. And was there any wonder that by the time he finished law school, his health collapsed? He contracted tuberculosis, and he was sent to a state sanitarium in state Virginia, the Blue Ridge Sanitarium, into the charity ward. Now, of course, in those days, and maybe even in these days, charity patients in state hospitals were treated pretty much like prisoners. Mr. Carwile, bless his heart, was not one to back down. He was outspoken among his handlers, his orderlies in that facility, and he was occasionally rather brutally treated. At one point, he was beaten very badly by the orderlies, and as a result, he was blinded in his right eye. It was a permanent blindness. And so, right after World War II, he was released from this facility. He was healed, and he attempted to sue the state of Virginia. But as I think we know, that to sue a state government, you have to have the permission of the government in order to sue it.
Wow.
I mean, it's the king can do no wrong doctrine, right? And so guess what? The state of Virginia said, no, you cannot sue us. So he wrote a little pamphlet called "The King Can Do No Wrong," and he peddled it on the streets of Richmond, in the Capitol Square grounds, and he actually sold quite a few of them, and he made enough money that he could open a little office, and he set up a law practice, and the clients he got were people who had similar gripes with the government that he did, and one of his early clients was a woman whose brother was a prisoner in the state of Virginia, in one of their prisons. This young man, this prisoner, was treated so badly in prison that whenever she went to visit him, he had to be brought into the visitors area in a wheelchair. He was so badly beaten. And he died in his early 20s. So Mr. Carlisle decided that he's going to do something about this. So he decided he would run for the governorship of Virginia. I mean, he's probably about 28 years old now. He's going to run for the governorship of Virginia, and he's got no money. So he hitchhikes around the state of Virginia, making speeches and talking about the brutality that's going on in the prisons. And for a year, he hitchhiked and did this. Now, he got a few votes, not a lot, but maybe 1% of the vote. But he made so much noise in doing so that when the man who was elected Governor William Tuck, when he was inaugurated, in his inaugural speech, he announced that he would begin a study and implement prison reform.
Wow.
And I mean, he really, I mean, this man was so brave. He was a little short, fat guy with, wore thick glasses because he was blind in one eye, but he was absolutely courageous. I mean, a guy like me, I'm a big, strapping guy. I mean, so, I could take care of myself in situations. It's okay, I can be brave, but for a little short, fat guy to be so courageous, is remarkable. I mean, it's just that he didn't have a fear gene. When he was standing on righteous soil, he knew no fear. He was truly a John Brown kind of a figure. He had that kind of courage. And a couple of details in I think it was 1947, he was arrested for integrating a public facility. He sat in the colored, let's call it the colored section, let's be official. He sat in the colored section of a church service in a public auditorium, and he was arrested for that in 1947. And then for many years, he would purchase with his own money 15 minutes of airtime on this radio station in Richmond called WXGI, which was the hillbilly station. So this is the people he wanted to talk to. He wanted to talk to the people listening to hillbilly music. And he came on at 1 o'clock on Sunday afternoon after everybody's home from church, and he would lambaste, especially the institution of segregation, and he would, of course, say lots of bad things about the political machine, the white supremacist machine, the Harry Byrd political machine that ran the state of Virginia. And I've recently written a poem, which I'm going to try to reproduce Mr. Carlisle talking on the radio. They say that I'm a loud mouth. They are right. I have got a loud mouth. I am thick-skinned. I can take it. They say I just want to get my name in the papers. They are right. And my picture too. They say I am a Negro lover. They are right. I like one or two white people as well. They wish I was dead. It is a wonder that I am not. My body became diseased because I am poor. The reason that I am blind in one eye is because I am poor. I went to the charity ward of a sanitarium because I am poor. When tuberculosis didn't kill me, the orderlies at Blue Ridge State Sanitarium tried to beat me to death, but the best they could do was to blind one of my eyes. I was beat up by orderlies in a sanitarium because everybody else beats up poor people, so why shouldn't hospital orderlies? Fractured skull, broken right arm, various cuts and contusions, and blind in the right eye. I decided the minute that I returned to consciousness that this world needs to hear what a po' boy has got to say. Well, in the years between the Civil War and World War II, you know, the southern states all suffered from terrible economic depression. The Industrial Revolution hadn't quite caught up with the South, and of course the tractor was a terrible invention because every tractor that was bought in the South replaced like 20 agricultural jobs. So there was this terrible depression, and so now we're talking the days of convict leasing, you know, the chain gangs, and of course the vagrancy laws. Now these were applied to the poor whites as well as to the blacks, although black folks, but poor whites faced the same problem of the convict leasing, you know, demanded this flow of workers. And I think that, I certainly recall this as being true, that I think every poor young man in the South, black or white, that they lived with an expectation of possibly going to prison at some time during their lives. And so, I'll conclude with this, that I'd like to recognize one who wrote about this experience of Southern poverty. He was a poor Southern boy, and he actually was one of America's greatest poets in the 20th century, who also had a talent to amuse. His name was Hiram King Wilson, and his name is unrecognizable unless you call him Hank Williams. I was riding number 9, headed south to Caroline. I heard that lonesome whistle blow. Got in trouble, had to roam. Left my gal and left my home. I heard that lonesome whistle blow. Just a kid acting smart, I went and broke my darling's heart. I guess I was too young to know. They took me off that Georgia main. They locked me to a ball and chain. I heard that lonesome whistle blow. All I do is sit and cry when that evening train goes by. I heard that lonesome whistle blow. All alone I bear the shame. I'm a number, not a name. I heard that lonesome whistle blow. I'll be locked here in the cell until my body's just a shell and my hair turns whiter than snow. I'll never see that gal of mine. Lord, I'm in Georgia doing time. I heard that lonesome whistle blow.